Okay, so this is the project idea. So meeting room booking system design. So this is just a flow which we have for our project. Consider any company. Let's say we are considering Infosys. Okay, and if we consider a particular building, let's say in a Pune location, if we consider a particular building, Infosys building. Okay, so there they might have different meeting rooms, right? Nowadays we are joining meetings and everything from the Zoom or Google Meet, but earlier or now also, uh, employees who are joining office, they gather in a particular meeting room and they do their calls and scrum meeting, everything in that particular meeting. So let's say in a particular building we have several meeting rooms. So anyone cannot go in there and use that meeting. Before, if you are planning to do a call or a meeting in a particular meeting room, so you have to advance book that room, because it should not coincide with another group or another project meeting, right? So in every company they have some portal where they can book that meeting room. So this is just a small module for that application interface. So as you can see, first we will have a login page, and this system we are designing as a product, means we are creating a product, and that product will be used by many companies to achieve their meeting room booking application. Means we are designing a product and we are going to sell them. We are going to sell this product to different companies, right? So if you see, we have a login page. Application will start from the login page. In this application, we have three roles: super admin, client admin, and client user. Super admin means us, the creator of the application, means we are the owner of this application, right? So if it is super admin, what super admin can do? First, once super admin login, he will land on admin dashboard. Then what he can do, like this is a product, so product will have some particular packages, right? Whenever we purchase any, let's say any software, there are different packages, right? So we have to select like which package we need, like that. This is the master page where super admin will create the packages. Then he will create the client, right? Let's say Infosys came and we have discussed like these are the requirement they have, like what number of licenses, what number of users they need. So based on that, we have the discussion. So we create a client, and let's say we have three packages. Out of that, they selected second package. So we assign the package, that is activate package, right? So package is a master. So we have three packages already created. And after that, if we create a client, then we assign any package from these packages. So that is activate page. This is another page. Then we can create a users also for all the companies or all the clients, right? We have to initially create one user, so that client can log in, right? So these are the different tasks that super admin can do. Means he can create the package, he can create the clients, update, delete everything, basic CRUD operation. Then he can activate a package. Only one rule is only one package will be activated per client. If previous package is expired, then only he can add a new package. You will get to see that validation. Then he can create the users. Okay, so if user logged in and user role is admin, super admin, so he get to see only 5 pages, first admin dashboard and all these 4 pages. Then if logged in user is client admin, let's say Infosys, we have created a user for Infosys and it logged in. So then he will have only pages access to this particular page. He will land on to the client dashboard. He can create the room and he can create users, right? I mean, he can create the rooms, like what are the meeting rooms they have. Let's say in a particular Pune building, they have 20 meeting rooms. So he will create, I mean, in every company for rating, for every rooms, they specify different names also. So normal form will be there to create the rooms, and he can create the users. Users will be their employee, those who are going to use this application to book the meeting room for their meeting, right? So if the role is client admin, he get to see 3 pages, that is client dashboard, room page, and the users page. Now in user page, user component will be one only. And based on the role, we are going to show and hide some things, because this user page is going to be used in client admin also, in super admin also, right? So if it is super admin, he will get to see some different things. If it is client admin, he will get to see some different things. So only one component we are going to use in both the login. right? Means if super admin is logged in, he can create users for all the client. But if Infosys is logged in, he can create users for his company only. So client dropdown should not be visible, and he can only see the what we can see users of Infosys company which he has created. He should not see the users of some another client, let's say TCS or Capgemini or Cognizant, anything. Whatever the client is login, he should see only his data. That is the purpose. Then third user is client user. So client admin login, he created one user. Let's say manager will have access to this application, so that manager can book the room, manager or TL, whatever, right? So let's say Infosys company has created 2 users and normal user logged in. Now, what normal user will get to see? He can only see the dashboard and he can only book the room, and he can see the previous booking records. So this is the whole application. So it's a very small application, but just role wise, some things will hide and show. Hope you have got it. Okay. So let's start the project. Now I'm going to just open the Visual Studio Code. I have to open a particular folder where I'm going to keep my projects. So file, open folder. Let me go to particular drive, code first, and select folder. Or let's say, yeah, in this particular folder, I will create the project. So I have Angular and everything is installed already. So I will just create a project. Okay, so this is my particular folder I have created. In this folder, I have so many projects. So now I will open the terminal. Either you can open from here or you can open from terminal also. Same thing. Now we have a command to create the project. So that will be ng new project name. So project name is my space. So this is just a name I'm giving to my project name. Whenever any project start, let's say team or a manager or someone will decide the project name, or client will decide the project name. So that I'm creating this as a MySpace. So when I press enter, it will ask like, do I need a routing file or not? That will be a question that command prompt will ask. So would you like to add a routing file? So we will say yes and press enter. Then like we have CSS, LAS and SAS. So we are just going simply with the CSS. So you just have to click enter. Now you can see the basic project is created, right? Now what it is doing, it is installing the packages, right? So if we see here, this is a project folder, and what it is doing now, it is reading the packages from package.json and it is installing all the packages. See, these are the basic packages which we have in the package.json. Now it is installing the packages from npm. So package.json is a what we can say important file in Angular application where we mention all the packages along with its version. Means this is a package and it's this is its version. 15 is the Angular 15 project we have created. Okay. Now after package.json, we have angular.json. Package.json will contain all the package entry, and angular.json is a configuration file for our Angular project. Okay, so in angular.json, we will have all the configuration for our Angular project. So like what are the external CSS, JavaScript, which we are using. Some build configuration is also there, like what can be maximum build size, build error, and everything we can pass it over here. Again, we can provide the warning also, like consider a component. Every component should have at least 3000 lines. So we can say error also. Like if any component is having so much of line of code, so it will throw the error. Then we have to divide that component into 2 more components like that. Then development related some settings are there. When we run the project now, for running also we have some settings over there. Then test cases, we have some settings. So this is configuration file, right? Then tsconfig.json. tsconfig.json means tsconfig, TypeScript configuration. In Angular, we work with TypeScript. So what are the settings we have in the compilation that we can do it over here, right? let it install. Now in src folder, in app folder, we have our actual project, right? So when we create the Angular project, we get the basic app component already created. So you can see in a component file, component is nothing but a page. Those who don't know like what is component, so component is kind of a HTML page. But in Angular, CSS, we keep in separate file, functions, variables, what are the code we write it in a separate file, and HTML in a separate file. Normally HTML page is a single page. In that style, we can write the CSS. In script, we can write the JS. But in Angular, we have a separate file to write the things. So a component is a combination of three files: CSS, HTML, and .ts. Script code will go into .ts, HTML will be here, and CSS, all classes we will write over here. Now, if you can see, node module has been successfully installed, right? So you can see successfully initialized. Let me just close this and open a particular folder. Now I'm clicking on close folder. Let me open that folder again. Open folder. Let's go to that location. MySpace. Encode first. MySpace. Okay, so this should be your folder, and click on select folder. Now you can see only the folders project, right? So let's try to run the project now. So to run the project, you should run the command on the parent directory. That is ng new. This is the command to run the project, Angular project. Ng is not available. Why it is saying MySpace? This command is not available and running Angular CLI. It is giving the error. Okay, my bad. The to run the project command is ng serve. Let's run it. So this is the command to run the Angular project. Now it will compile the Angular project and run it on the localhost 4200. Whenever we run the project, it will run. Okay, 4200 is already in use. Let me just close this. CLS to clear the command prompt. Ng serve. Now it will run the project on localhost 4200 by default. This is just like a live. In normal HTML page, we click here to go live. So here in Angular project, we have to run the project. Then it will run on the localhost 4200. So let it compile. Localhost 4200. On this port, that particular project will run. Let it compile. Then you can see the page. Okay. Now if I refresh, you can see this page comes. Now this is the default page we get when we create the project, and it is coming from this app component. Now you can see this is nothing but that you are seeing. Let me print hello over here, and if I save, you can see hello is there. Now let's create the basic project structure. So in app component, I'm going to create one folder that is pages. Then another folder that is core to create all my services and everything. Right, in pages, now I will create the components. So I'm right clicking on the pages folder, open in new integrated terminal. Now I have to create the new component. Component, as I told you, like component is nothing but a page. So to create the new page or the component, the command is ng generate component, my component name. So as we have seen the flowchart, what are the components we need? Packages, activate packages, users, and client. So let's just create this basic component. So first is, now let's create packages first. Packages. So in Angular, we do everything by command. That is called as Angular CLI, right? So if we have to create the page, if we have to create HTML file, everything we do by command only. So as you can see, once this command successfully run, it has created 4 files. Create. It has created 4 files and it has updated 1 file. App module file it has updated. So you can see these are the 4 files it has created. And in app module is an important file in our Angular project where we register everything. Okay. So component will go in the declaration. So you can see this is the class of that package component. It is added. Now let's try to create one more. Now just pay attention here. Currently in declaration, we just have 2 elements, app component and packages. Now, if we create client, enter. Now one more entry will be added over here. Okay. So see, client as it. Let's create the remaining. By clicking on up arrow key, you can get the latest command. Users, enter. Package, client, and user. These are the master pages, master kind of data we have. Then package activation. Package activation. So all these package, activate package, users, and create client, all 4 pages are done. Let's try to. Now all 4 pages are done. So all 4 pages entry has been added to the declaration. See, all 4 pages entry has been added to the declaration. Now we have to create the routes. So in normal HTML page using href, we used to navigate from one page to another. But here to do the same, we have to create the routes. So for that, when creating the project, it has asked like, do you need a routing file or not? So we said yes. So it has created this file, app routing module.ts. Here we have to create the route. So route is an object which contains path that will be your route name. So that will be, let's say, first is package, comma, component, colon. Then component is like, if this in the URL, we have the package, which component you have to load, means which page you have to load. So we have to load package component. My package is not coming. Packages. Let me just copy that file name from here. Packages component. Now it should suggest the import. See, if we are using any class name now, so we have to add the import also. So if you click here, it will show you the bulb and it will show the suggestion, add an import. See, like this. So this is an array. An array contains multiple objects. Second, third, fourth. Now we have to change. After package, we have client. Then on client, we have to load client component. Client component. Then package activation. Hyphen activation. Then component. Package activation component. And last one is users. Users component. So these are the basic different packages we have, right? So today we are just going to focus on package and the client. Then we will be in next video, we will be completing the login part. Right now we have created the package. So now our parent component is app component, right? So here we are going to need the navbar. So before that, first we have to install the Bootstrap. Now to install the Bootstrap, we can go to npm. We need the command to install the Bootstrap. Bootstrap. This is npm package managed library. Okay, here you get all the package. If you have to install the Bootstrap in your Angular project, this is the command npm I bootstrap. This will install the latest Bootstrap version. So you just have to open a new terminal by clicking over here and paste the command and enter. So what it will do, it will install the Bootstrap into node module folder, this folder. After that, we have to add the link. Like in normal HTML file also in head body, we used to add the link. Like that, we need to do the same over here in angular.json. In style section. So here, now if we see the path will start from node module slash, let's expand this. In node module, we have Bootstrap folder will be there. Yeah, this Bootstrap slash inside that we have dist folder. So that dist slash CSS slash, inside that we will have bootstrap.min.css. So that we are going to get over here. Right. So this is the path of our Bootstrap file. So we are not using direct CDN because we have installed that. So now in angular.json, we just have to add the path. Right. This is the first thing. Now, whenever we do the changes to the angular.json, it is mandatory to run the project again. Then only it will take the effect. So again, we have to run the project. ng serve, enter. Let's close this. Now we have to use the Bootstrap navbar. So just go to Bootstrap, W3 school, navbar. Let's copy the code, basic code they have. We need navbar like this so that we can have a logout button over here. So rather than designing whole page by yourself, let's better to copy paste when you are doing the practice. Don't waste the time in design and everything. Where it is. This is also not that page. Yeah, this. So let's just copy this and put it in a app component.html because that is our parent component. So in app.html, we are going to put that. Let's save and check. We should see the navbar. No, CSS are not applied properly. So I think the path is not correct. So instead of this, let's add dot slash. Again, we have to compile because we have done changes in the angular.json file. So sometimes it needs dot slash. It's based on the different version, like what they have the configuration. Sometimes in Angular 14, it was directly using node module, but let's try this. Let's try. Yeah, you can see now CSS are perfectly added. Now in Angular, in normal HTML, we used to use href when we have to navigate from one page to another. Now in Angular, we have to use router link. Instead of href, it is router link. And in router link, we have to pass our route name. Route we have created in app routing model.ts. So this is package. It will go over here. Then this is our text. Package like that. Just let me copy paste. Then client. This is client. Then we have package activation. This route name should go in the router link here. Activation. Then users. Last page, that is users. Route name will go over here, and this will be the text we are going to show. Let's save and check. See, everything is coming. But if I click now, see, URL is getting changed wherever I clicked. But that component page is not loading. So for that, we need router outlet. So after the navbar, let's add container fluid, and inside that we need router outlet. So this is the place where activated route will be loaded. Means wherever we click on this link, that component will be loaded over here. Now let's try to save and check. See, currently we have user, so you can see user work is there. This is coming from that component HTML. If I click on the client, see client work, activation client, users package, like this. So wherever we are clicking, that component is getting loaded over here. Right now, instead of logo, let's add our project name, my space. And here we need the logout button. So let's just name the button to logout. We don't need the search box. Let's remove that. So this is our layout is completed, means we have the navbar. Now we can start with the actual project. Now coming back to API. So whenever we are working in the client side, right, means Angular side. So we don't have the database, right? So we have to depend on the API. Whatever the data we get from the API, that we are going to show in the Angular project. So these are the APIs we have for the meet. This is my controller meeting. So all the APIs are here. What are the APIs we need now to perform all these operations? All APIs are here. Those who don't know the API, just pay attention for now. Okay. Now, first we will try with package component. So if you see here, package, see, these are the packages API, get all packages, create packages. Now, if I click here and click on try it out, on click of execute, you will get to see all the packages. See, some packages is already created. Now, this is the URL. Now, if I copy this URL and put it in the browser and press enter, so see, I'm getting all the packages. So many packages are created now. So now I have to integrate this API into my Angular project, right? So for that, what I have to do, first thing in app module, we have to add HTTP client module. So for that, I have to add import statement from and the Angular common / HTTP. And from that, we need HTTP client module. Those who don't know Angular, just pay attention. Just see the flow, like what things we have to do. Don't think too much like why we are adding this and why we are adding this. So just pay the attention, like what things we are doing. At the end, you will get the complete picture, like, yeah, this is the software. Okay, so first thing is like in app module, we have to add the HTTP client module. Then we will create a service. Right click on the core folder. Again, we will create folder inside that service. And on service folder, we will create our service. ng generate service and service name. So let's say packages or package only. So it will create a service into this service folder. So service are nothing but a files where we keep our reusable code, reusable functions. So this service is created. Now here what we have to do, we have to create an object of HTTP client. So in constructor private HTTP colon HTTP client. H is capital and C is capital. Once I select this, import statement added automatically. So what we have did over here in the constructor, we have created object. This is called as dependency injection. Now we have to create a method. Get all packages. We are creating a function. Now here this dot HTTP. Now if we see here, this API call is of type get method. So we have to use this .http.get round bracket. In double quotes, we have to pass the API. So this is our API. Copy this and let's paste it over here. Now, this function is responsible to return the data. So we have to add the return keyword here. So wherever we call this function now, this function is going to return the data of type, whatever the data we get from this API. Now we have to create the object of this into our component. Now let's go back to the component and write the coding for packages. So package in .ts first. So first thing, we need to create, we need to implement ng on init. So implement on init. So this is the new feature we have in Angular 15. We don't get constructor and ng on changes by default. So we have to write that. So first constructor, then ng on init. Right. So those who don't know this, just pay attention and look the process. First, we have to create the variables. So first variable will be to hold the data we get from the API. So that will be packages array of data type any. It will be array and initializing to empty. So those who only know the JavaScript, this is the way by which create variable in Angular. We don't need to use var over here. Var is only needed till JavaScript only. So this is the way of creating variable in Angular. Then we are going to need a single package. This is the variable where we are going to store the array. Now we have created a service, that is package service. We have to create object of this package service into package component. So private package service srv colon my class name. Now we need an import of that. So click on the bulb, select the import. See, import has been added. Now let's create another function, load packages, round bracket, curly bracket, enter. This is the way how we create the function. We don't need function over here. Okay, directly in JavaScript we need to use the function keyword, but here we can directly create function like this. Function is not needed. So now here what we need to do, we need to call this function into this function, but this function get all packages is in the packages service. So we have created an instance of this package. So this dot package service dot, see that function is all coming by default. Dot. So that function is going to return the value whatever it get from the API. So we have to subscribe to that, means we have to catch the data. So for that we have subscribe function, round bracket, inside that again round bracket, response. This is just a variable we are creating over here, equal to curly bracket. Right. So here this dot. Now we have to hold the data whatever we get from that API into this variable is equal to. Now if you see the response, let's go to Swagger. If you see the response of this API is object. You can see this is object. In this object we are getting the array in data. So we have to use response dot data. What it is saying, we have missed that colon any is missing. So remove that. Okay, so now you can see that error got because we have provided the data type as any. Now we need to call this package. Load package function. This function we have created, but it is not going to execute by itself. We have to call it somewhere now. So when the component loaded now, this function will get initialized by default. So this dot load package. Let's add the debugger over here. Let's add the debugger over here and in subscribe also. So you will understand things. Let's click on save. Yeah, it is compiled successfully. Now if you go over here, inspect, and let's reload. See, first debugger we have got in ng on init. We don't have to call the ng on init function. It is by default called. But in ng on init, we have called this function. So now it will go over there. See, it had come on line number 24. Then we are making the API call. Once we run this line now, network tab, you will get to see one entry. Now I'm continue. See, in the network call, you get that entry and API call response is 200. So in response, you can see the same response we had seen here. Now same response you can see over here also. Result true, message empty, and in data we have got 44 elements. And that 44 element means response.data we are storing into package array. Currently it is length is 0, but once we execute this line, you can see in packages array we got 44 records. Right? So now in this variable we have got the data. Now we have to show that data into our let's say into table in HTML part. So now let's go to HTML part. Let's create a basic structure, that is row, call 8 or call say 1. Again, I will create the Bootstrap card over here. Card header. Let's add a BG color to the card header. BG success. After that, we need card body. Card body. Right. So here, let's again create a row column structure. I will explain you later. Call 6. Inside that, this is packages portal. This is just a text I am displaying in the package header. And in another column, I am going to need a button. Button. Now, everywhere we have to add 3 classes: BTN, BTN's SM, BTN success. So rather than writing all the classes there now, I'm just creating a simple class in my global CSS. This is my global CSS. Here I will add BTN primary or BTN. Let's primary only. Okay, no, again, we have to add all the CSS. Let's just write that only here. So class BTN, BTN, SM, BTN primary, then create new. And in the card body, we are going to show the data. So we need table. Inside that T head, inside that TR, inside that TH. So we are going to show serial number. Let me just copy paste. So now if you see the response, what things we have got? Only 4 fields: package ID, package name, cost, description, and is active. We don't show package ID. Any primary key we don't show in the table. Okay, we never show the ID in the table. So we have to start with name. So that will be package name, cost. Then what do we have? Description and is active. Description and status. Okay, so this will be my fixed TR. After that, we need T body. In T body, this TR should be dynamic. And let's add a classes for table. Table. Table bordered. And here we have to use the for loop. So up till now, those who know the JavaScript might know, like for loop only runs in the JavaScript, right? But we can run the for loop in HTML also in Angular. So for that, command syntax is something else. ng for is equal to double quotes. In double quotes, we have to write syntax: let package of. After of, we have to provide the array name. The array name is packages array. So it will go over here. Now, TD. How many TD we are going to need? Number of columns we have 5. So let me just copy paste 5 times. So in first TD, you can see here it is serial number. So here we have to show the serial number. So for that, we have to use double interpolation. To first, we are going to need the index of the for loop. So let SR is equal to index. So in SR, we are going to get the index. So let me print this over here. Right. So those who know the JavaScript, we used to select the element, then inner HTML or inner text we used to do. But here we can directly print the data by using double curly braces. Then in package, it is going to be object. So from object, we are going to show package name. So always try to copy paste it. Package name, copy and paste. Let me just copy paste this one more time. After package name, we have to show cost. So that is package cost. Copy and paste. Then description. Then description. And last is package active. We are getting true and false value. So now let's save and you will get to see the records in the table. Why didn't we get? Yeah, it has came now. See, we have got that 44 record now. So you can see 43 because indexing start from 0. We should not show the 0, right? So we can just increment that by adding +1. So now if I say indexing will start from 1, see 1 to 44. So whatever the response we have got from that API, we have shown that into the table. So the first task is done. We have called the API, shown the response, whatever we have got from into the table. Now, second task, we need to create new package. For that, we need to design the form. So let's just add one more class that is called 6 text end. So this is first card. In row, we have got 7. Now left is called 5. Now here we will design the form. Inside that, we will again create row dot call 6. Now, whenever you design the form, now don't waste too much time in designing the form. Your effort should be wasted in designing, not designing, just the coding part. So what we need to do, label and input types text box. Okay. So now here, let's add a class form hyphen control. This is the basic thing which we are going to need. So always just copy and paste it 4 times. So it is called 6. So obviously in one row, it is going to 2 and next will come into the bottom. And let's add a placeholder also. Let me just undo again. Placeholder, enter. Or rather than writing anything else, just put it enter everywhere, placeholder. Just don't try to print, write the whole thing like enter package name, package cost. User is going to need new. We have the label, so no need to add anything in the placeholder. Just enter will be enough, right? So let me just copy paste now. Let's save. And now, okay, well, we haven't added the card. So again, card header, then background color, that is BG success. Then in card body, we are going to put our form. Let's remove this form from here and put it over here. And after this row, we are going to need buttons also. So row, inside that we are going to need column 6. Call 6. And here we are going to need button. Let's just copy paste this. Class btn sm btn primary. Let's just copy paste. Now this will be secondary for reset. And this will be save. Let's save and check. Let's add a class that is text center. Rather than adding in both the divs, you can add it over here. Text center. Let's save and check. Okay, card header is missing. So again, here also we are going to need row because we are going to show the text and a button. Okay, button is not needed. Or let's just remove this also. This is also not needed over here, because that side panel will be always visible. So let's just copy over here. And text will be create package. Let's save and check. See, this is the form we have got. We missed the label. Name, cost, then description. For description, we should normally use the text area. So let's just add a text area. We need the class. Let's remove this. Columns we don't need. Rows we can say 3 rows, and it will be 12. And this will be checkbox because that is a Boolean value. So we need checkbox is active. Let's save. Checkbox doesn't need a placeholder, so let's remove that. See, this is how our form is looking. But still, it is why it is like this. Third body hyphen was missing, so it didn't apply that. But see, now it is proper, and we don't need the class to the checkbox also. Then it will try to acquire the 100% weight. It will look like this. Now it is working fine. Now, so this is the form we have created. Now on click of save button, we have to hit our another API, that is create package. So that will be this. So you can see for this create package, we need to send the object. So let's copy paste this and create an object in component.ts. Package obj equal to. Now we just need to make it small. The first letter should be small. In API, it is showing capital, but we need it small. Package cost also, let it make it empty. By default, is package active will be false. So this is the object we have created. This object contains 5 fields. Package ID we don't show in the HTML. Now we need to bind this package, object field to the HTML part, this level. For that, we have to use the forms module. So to use the forms module, we have to add the input, that is forms module in our app module.ts. Then we can bind this particular text box with ng model. Ng model is equal to double quotes. So package name means package name is in the object. So package object dot package name dot package name. Let's just copy paste this, put it over here, over here, over here. Now let's just change the fields only. Cost, description, and last one is active. I have Angular services installed, extension is installed, that's why it is suggesting. Right? So if I save, okay, still I'm getting some error. Let's see what is the error. See, in console, I have got the, whenever we are working in Angular, always your console should be open and you have to see. See, one error is there. If ng model is used within a form tag, either the name attribute must be set. So if we are using ng model inside the form tag, we have to add name property. So just name equal to whatever the field name we have given, we can just give it over here. So let me just copy paste. This is name property is mandatory whenever we have used the ng model inside a form tag. So that was the error. Now if I save, we won't get any error. See, we don't have any error now. Now, next thing is like on click of this, we have to call this API, that is create package. So let's create a function. Create package, round bracket, curly bracket, enter. Now here we have to use again API. So this dot HTTP. Okay, in package service, we have to first create the API function. Add new package, opening, closing, curly bracket. So this will return this dot HTTP. Now, if you see, the second API is of post. So we have to use post. Then post API will need to, post function will need 2 parameters, URL and the object. So URL will be, let me just copy paste till now here. This is same for all the APIs. After that, we need create package. So let's just write create package. Then we are going to need the object that we are going to send from the component. So obj:\any, this object we will send over as a second parameter, right? So now we need to call this function in .ts. That is package service dot add package. Then to this function, you can see we have one parameter. It is expecting 1 argument, but got 0. So we need to pass the object. So object we have already created, package object. This we have to send. This dot package object dot, again, same thing, that subscribe thing we are going to need. So let me just copy paste. Now, once we save the package, we need to call the get package again so that we should see the entered package. So for that, we can just call this function inside this, right? Again, here we can add a check like if response dot result is true, if then only we will call the package, and we can show some alert also. Alert package added, and in else block we can show again alert whatever whatever the error message we get from there, so that we will get in the message field. That you can see over here. See, this is the response which I'm going to get. If result is true, we can say like record inserted successfully. If result is false, in message we will get the error. So here we are adding that only. Let's see if it comes in capital or small. Now we need to call this function on this button click, that is on save. So in JavaScript we used to write on click. Here we have to write in round bracket click only. So this is the some difference we have in Angular compared to JavaScript. There we used to write on click like this. On click. But here we have to wrap that in the round bracket and it just click, not on click. And we have to call the function. That's it. Now let's just add a debugger over here. Let's click on save and check. Let's open the inspect. Let's create the package name. Premium. $01. Let's say cost will be 23,500. Description demo package, and it is active as true. So if I click on save, see, we have got the debugger. Now you can see here we have filled the form into the elements. I mean, we have filled the form, but that value we will get in the package. So this dot package, you can see whatever the information we have filled there now, we have got that. In JavaScript, we have to read the element dot value, but in Angular, we have bind that object to HTML. So we don't have to do extra things to read the value. That is automatically added, right? So you can see package ID is 0 and all the information is there. We have checked the checkbox. So that's why we have got true over here, right? So now once I click continue, you can see one API call over here. Now if that yeah. So in the response, you can see result is true and message is also get saved successfully because this package does not exist earlier. Okay. So see, no, I think result is coming in small. Yeah, see, everything is coming in small. So that's why we need to, instead of capital, we need to make it small. So this should be small and this should be small. After that, load packages we have called. So in the table, you should be able to see the packages now, the latest package what we have added. See, premium 01, the package we have added, it is coming over here. Let's try to create the same package name. We have the validation on the API side that same package name won't be added again twice. So let's just add anything. And if I try to click on save, see, this is the package, same package, but with different labels. Just the package name I have used the same. If I continue, see, in the response, I will get the error. What is the result is coming false. And the error is package name already exists because this premium 01 package name is already present. So I have added the validation on the API side that package name should be unique. So in the API response, you will get the error. So we have added that check. If result is true, then this block will execute. But currently result is false. So it will go in the else block and it will show the error like package name already exists. Then if I try to change to 02, let's add some value, 45,000. Premium package. Let's try to save. Now it will save. See, saved successfully. And if I continue, again, one API call will be there. And you can see the result here. See, once you save, the data will be visible in here. So this is what we have saved the package, and after that we have made the API call again to get the updated package, and you can see the response over here. So now first part is done. That is, we have loaded the packages and we have shown the packages. We have created new packages also. Now we have to edit and delete. So now to edit and delete, we have to add a edit and delete button over in the table. So for that, in the HTML, so this was the table. Here we have the table. So inside that we will add one more th that will have action, and one more td. Here we will have two buttons, that is for edit and the delete. Let's add some class. btn sm. This will be edit, and second button having class danger, that will be used for update. Sorry, delete. So if I save, see edit and delete button, let's just add some spacing in between. So margin left 2. Okay, it is mx2. Yeah, so we have the margin. Let's make it center aligned. So class text center. Okay, so now on click of edit button, what we have to do, let's say if we click on this premium 01, this record should be visible in this form pre-filled. If I click on this record should be pre-filled. So for that, we have got the whole data in package, right? So if you see the API, we have one more API which will get the current package detail by ID. See package ID. Let's see any package ID 172. If I pass the package ID over here and click on execute, see, we have passed 172. So it has written particular package data. So we have on edit, we have to call this API. So let's create one more function in the service. That will be get package by ID, opening, closing, curly bracket, return this dot HTTP dot API method is get only. In the Swagger, you can see like it is get or post. So this is get only, but we have to send the parameter, right? So this value should be dynamic, right? On whatever record I click, that value should be passed over here. So for that, let's just add a parameter, package ID : number. Now this will be sent as a dynamic. So let's just remove this, then plus package ID. This is concatenation. This is one string plus this is, so it will concatenate that, then semicolon. Now this function is responsible to get the response of this API. So on click of edit. So on this edit button, first we have to write the event. So that will be again click event. So round bracket, click, edit, record, round bracket. Now we have, and to this function we have to pass the parameter, that is date. What is package dot package ID? We are going to send in this whole package. We have got the object. So out of that we are sending package ID. So now we have to create this function, and while calling this function we are passing the parameter. So we have to create a parameter over here also. After that, create package, opening, closing, curly brackets. So here we will have the ID : number. Okay, now it is not necessary that you should create the name same. From here we are sending the data, that is package ID. So you can create any name over here. It is not required to have the same name. Okay, so now we have to make the API call. So this dot package service dot, which function we have to call? Get package by ID. But this function need one parameter. So this we are passing over here inside this. Then again the same code, that is dot subscribe and everything. Let me just copy paste. And if the result is true, what we have to do? From the API, we are going to get the data into data. See, here in the data, we are going to get the data, actual data. So that we have to assign in the object. So this object, package.object. So here this dot package object is equal to response dot data. Let's save and check now. Let's just add a debugger. Keep a habit whenever you are writing the code for the first time, always keep a habit to add the debugger wherever possible. Now, if I inspect, see, if I'm clicking on premium 01 edit, see this function got called, and in the parameter you can see 195 ID I have got. Then that I'm passing to the API. So if I see the network tab, once I continue, you can see URL is dynamic. See, ID is equal to 95. Then in response, I have got the particular data. Right? So currently in package object, we don't have any data. See, empty, everything is there. But if I say, if I run this line, now in package object, I got the data. And once I continue in the form also, that data is visible. See, now let me just disable the debugger. If I click on premium 2, I'm clearing the network tab. If I click on premium 2, so you can see 196 API call is there and data is visible over here. If I click on OOO, see, data is getting changing. So on click of edit button, we are calling the API by passing the ID. API is returning the data. We are storing that data into variable, and that variable, that object variable, we have binded to the HTML. So it is automatically displaying that updated data. Okay. Now, while editing, we have to do the two tasks. First, we have to get the data. Then we have to update the data. Now, this button should be dynamic. Now, if it is a new record, if it is, let me reload the page. See, this is first time entry where I'm trying to create a new package. So button name should be text save. But once I click on edit and I have the data over here, this button should be update, right? So for that, let me just print some data. Now I'm going to print the object in HTML. See, after that, let's try to print the data with pipe. We have in Angular, we have a pipe, JSON pipe. One bracket is missing. Let's save. Now see the difference in both the object. See, package ID is initially 0, but if I click on edit, you can see package ID is changing. Whenever I'm clicking on edit, that particular package ID is visible. So based on this condition, if package ID is 0, we can show the save button. If package ID is not 0, then we can show the update button. So we are going to use that to show and hide the button. So let's just copy this button and paste it. Now in Angular, show and hide is very easy. So we have to use star ng if this is the directive. Now condition will be package object. Inside that object, we have package ID. So that package ID, if equal to 0, we are going to show the save button. And if package ID is not equal to 0, we just need to add not, then it will be update. Let's save and check now. Let it reload. Let's click on edit. So you can see on the page load, it is saved because package ID is 0. So we get to see the save button. But if I click on edit, now package ID is 192, not equal to 0. So you can see the update button is visible. This is because of this simple condition. This is how we hide and show in Angular by passing the condition. If package ID is 0, we get to say this save button. Let's add another color to update button. Then you will see more different. So see, this is package ID is currently 0. So we get the blue button with save. But if I click on this edit, you can see button color is changed. Now we have got the second button visible. That save button is getting hidden because we have the package ID present over here. Now let's just write the code on the update button. So to update, we have another API. For every operation, we have to use the API. Now, when creating data, we have to call this API. When to get all the record, we have that. Where is package, update package? So this is the API, right? So this is the post, and we have to send the object. So let's create a function in service, just like the create add new package, update package, opening, closing, curly bracket. So again, this dot HTTP, now API call is method with post, double quotes. Let's just copy paste the basic thing. The URL up till now meeting will be constant. Only the method name is going to change. After that, let's see the method update package. Update package. After that, this is the post API. So it is going to near the object, and from component, we are going to pass the object. So let's just add a parameter, and this object we can pass over here. Semicolon and return statement. Right now we need to call this function on click of update. So in HTML we have added one more button. So update package. So on click of save, we will call this function. On click of update, we are calling this function. So let's create this function. After edit record, it should be update, enter. Right. So again, same thing. This dot package service dot which function we have to use? Update package. And to update package, we have one parameter. So let's send the object, this dot package object. Then dot subscribe. Let's copy paste this. Basic code is same only. Just the URL or the function name is going to change. Package updated. Let's click on save and check. See, now it is in the normal mode. So it is showing the save button. If I click on the, let's open any record proper master suit. Let's click on edit 43 number. Okay. Let's click on edit. Now here you can see master suit is visible and update button is visible. Now if you see the master is having 0 cost. So let's just try to update the cost. So let's make it 12,500. Okay, and excellent to something else. Master package with cost 12,555. Now let's click on update. So once I click on the update, you will get to see the data API call here. On click of update, we have got the course error. Why? Data we have also sent now. Spelling mistake is there or what? Let's copy this. And service, let's put the API call again. I think spelling mistake was there. Let's try again. Where it is, master suit. On click of edit, we will get the data. Let's 555. Now on click of update. Yeah, it is see now. API call is response we have got and package updated. Now if you scroll down, see cost is getting updated. Master suit having whatever the data we have updated, that data you can see in the table. So this is update process. Now one more small thing I will add first before deleting. If you reload, see API call is in progress, but here we don't show anything. So whenever data is loading now, we can show some loader. So for that, until data is not there now, we can show the loader. So for that, we can use Bootstrap loader. Bootstrap has some basic loaders. So that is spinner. So like this, we can, let's copy this and paste it over there in the table. So for that, we need to create a variable. So I'm creating a variable is loader, which is having data type Boolean, and I'm initializing it with false value. Or let's initialize with false values only. Okay. Now in get load package, first before making the get all package, we are going to change that value to is loader to true. And once we get the response, we are again going to make it false. Right? So we have created one variable, that is loader. By default, we have assigned the false value. In once the API call function start, before making the API call, we have made that value to true. And once we get the response, we have again make that value false. Now we can use that loader in the table. So T body is there, right? So either we can create two T body like star ng if. So here we can add if this T body will be visible if this variable is false, means his loader is having false value. Either you can write like this. Let's write this only, simple only. Again, we have to create another T body. And this will be with true. And here we are going to need one tr. And inside that td, but we will add a call span. How many columns we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have to add 6. And inside that, let's just add one more class, that is class text center. And we will paste that loader divs. This we have to put it inside this. Let's just format. Now you can see we have two T body. This T body will be visible if loader variable is false, and this T body will be visible if loader variable is true. Now see the difference. Let the page reload. See, pay attention now here. See, loader is there. Once we get the response, loader got hidden and data is visible. Let's go to client page and again come back. Pay the attention in the network tab. If I click on the package, it is pending. Once we get the 200 now, this will be hidden. See, this is loader. Okay. Now this same variable we can use in button also. Once we click the edit, save or update button, now we should show some small blinking thing on this button also. So in Bootstrap, we have a small navigate. This. Let's copy this. We need to show whenever some API call is in progress, now we need to show like this. So let's copy. On click of save button and edit button also we are going to need. So this div will be visible star ng if. Same variable we can use. This loader variable. Now this loader will be visible. If this variable is true, this will be visible. And same thing, we need it in the update also. Now, whenever we hit the create API and the update API, we just need to make this variable true again. So see, this is create. Before making the API call, we are going to make this variable true. And once we get the response, again, we are going to make it false. Same thing in update also. Here. And sorry, true will be here. And once we get the response, again, we are making it false. So if we make it false, that will be hidden. So let's try to save the changes now. See, before loading the grid, it is showing the loader. Now, if I try to enter, let me remove this thing. What we have printed doesn't make sense now. Let's just remove this. So now it will look like a proper application. Before loading the data, we are getting the loader. Once we get the data, loader is getting hidden, right? This is first part. Let's try to create premium 003, cost 34,000, description something, and is active true. Now pay attention here. Once I click on the save now, you get to see the loader and one API call over also here. Once we get that response, then it will be hidden. See, once we get the response, then that loader will be hidden, and table is also loaded. Got it? So with one variable, we have shown the loader in the table also. We have shown the loader on the button also. Everywhere it is visible now. Now, the last thing is like delete package. So to delete the package, Once I click on the delete, we should see some confirmation like, are you sure you want to delete? So for that in JavaScript, we have confirm, right? So on the TD, so on the edit button, first we need to call the edit function. So again, we have to write the click event since it is a button. So click event will be there. Click on delete. Now let's see the API call, delete API call. Delete package by ID, and it is post only. And we have to send the ID. So let's just try it out. Let's try the variable. Let's copy. This is the variable. So from here, we need to send the ID. So package.package ID, we are going to send. So let's create this function. And while calling this function, we are sending the parameter. So when we create the function, we need to catch that. After update on delete, right? So from HTML, we are sending the package. So ID, so we need to catch that number. Now we are going to call this API call. So this is my API call. First, we need to create the function in service. Delete package by ID, round bracket, curly bracket, return this dot HTTP. Method call is post only. Now this ID should be dynamic. So let me remove this. Let's add the parameter ID, package ID, colon, number. And this package ID will go after this with plus, because dynamic. Since this is post, we need two parameters, but we don't have any object, so we can send empty object like this. That's it. Okay. Now we need to call this function in delete function. So again, this dot package service dot which function we need to call now? Delete package by ID. And this function need one parameter that we are going to get here. We can pass it over here. Then dot subscribe thing, round bracket, again round bracket, result colon any equal to greater than curly bracket. And here we can just add a check like this. If it is true, then we will make the API call again. Okay, here it is result. So result. If it is successful, delete is successful. So we have to again call the packages and we can show the error message alert round bracket package deleted and else block. If it is not deleted, if we got some error from the API side, so we just have to show that package also. Then res dot message. Again, we can use the same thing, this loader thing. We can copy paste over here to and make it false once we get the response. And we can use the same thing on delete also. This thing which we have used over here, let's copy paste and put it before the delete button. Now let's save and check. So this will complete our basic CRUD operation. We have inserted, updated, delete, and load the data also. Now we will delete the package 1, that is premium 01. If I click on delete, okay, we have missed that confirm thing. So on click of delete, first we need to ask the user like if we need to delete it or not. So in the first line, we have to write const is delete is equal to confirm. And in confirm, we can send the message. Are you sure want to delete like this? Now, if user, when we use the confirm, we get save and yes, okay, and cancel. If user click on okay now, so we will get true over here in delete. It will return true. If user click on cancel, we will get false over there. So that check we will add. So if is delete is true, equal to true. For just understanding, I'm writing like this. Otherwise, this is not necessary. This is also simply enough. But just for basic understanding, I'm writing like this. If user has clicked on OK, then only we have to make the API call. So we have to wrap this code inside this if condition. Let me just format it. So let's see. Okay, now on click of delete, let it reload. It is reloading. Now on click of delete, you can see we have got the confirm box. If I click on cancel, you can see no API call is there. Let me just add a debugger. Then you will understand like what I am trying to tell you, that how confirm will work. Because accidentally someone might click on the delete. Now, if we don't show the alert, then it will record will be get deleted. So that is in every application, whenever we click on the delete, now you will get some pop-up. Are you sure you want to delete or not? Now, if I click on delete and if I click on cancel, okay, debugger is disabled. Let's try to click on again. See, now we are on line number 82. Now, if I continue, we got the box. If I click on cancel, you can see in is delete what we have got false because we have clicked on cancel. Continue. So it won't go inside. Now, if I click on delete and if I click on OK, we have continued. Let me do that again. If I click on delete and if I click on OK, so here you can see we have got true. So whenever we use the confirm box now, it will return true and false. If we click on the OK, we will get true. And if we click on the cancel, we will get false. Hope that is clear now. So since we have said true, so it will go inside and it will make the API call and it will delete the package. See, right? So with this, we have completed inserting the package or editing the package, updating the package, deleting and load the data into table also. So these are the things you should do when we work on any page, all the basic 4 operations. Hope you have got everything what I have gone through. So now we are left with the user page. So let's complete the user page. So let's see the API detail. Yeah. So we have the user page already created. Now, so this user page will be common to both the super admin also and the client admin also. You can see in super admin also we have the user page, right? And in client admin also we have the user page. So rather than creating 2 different page component for the same operation, we can use the same component. Just based on the role, we are going to hide and show some things. So let's get started now. Now let's try to log in with admin. Let me check like what details we are getting. On click of sign in, result, role is admin only. Okay, so we had added that super admin. So let's rename that to admin. Pages login dot component dot ts, and instead of the super admin, this will be my admin only. So let's save and check it again. Now, once we log in, it should land with the admin layout. Admin and password is 1234. One click of login. Yeah. So you can see we have logged into the admin portal. So for admin, you can see he can create package, he can create client, he can do the activations also, and he can create the user. So now today with this, we will be completing the user page. So let's create the basic structure for the user page. Okay, now instead of table, we will show the cards. So it's not better to every time we can show that table. So we can use the cards also. So let's say call it will be for the cards and then call for. Now in call it, we will have card again, card hyphen header with .bg success color, right? And then we need card body. Here we will be showing the list. Now this same structure again in card body, we are going to need row and column because Okay, let's not do that. Let me just copy paste this card structure in the other panel also. Here it will be user list, and here in the side panel we will be creating new user. Now, so let's create the variable first. So if we see the Swagger for API documentation, get all user will be one API. Okay, so get all user. So this is the sorry, I was on mute. So this was the API I was telling, like this API we have to call if the user role is admin. So this dot get round bracket and URL, then dot subscribe thing, result colon any equal to curly bracket enter. We need to create a users. We need to create a variable which will hold the users, right? So user list colon any array is equal to empty initialization. Then here we will be storing this dot user list is equal to res dot data, because if we see the API response in data, we are going to get the actual array, right? So now we have created this user, this function which will get all the users. Now, but let's say we have logged in with the client. So we need to see the users created by that particular client. Let's say we are logged in with TCS. So we should see only the users which are created by TCS, right? So for that, we have another API that is get all users by client ID. So we need to pass client ID to this API. Let me just write one. We just need the URL. So let me copy paste this. Now we need to call another function like get all users by client, right? So here again, this dot HTTP, same get method is there. So get, then in double quotes, we have to pass the URL, right? Then this will be same thing. We got both the API, same variable we are going to use to store the array, user list only, right? Now we need to write the logic based on the role. We have to, if the role is admin, then we will be calling this function. If role is client admin, then we will be calling this function, right? So if you see in the local storage, we have stored the role. Once we do the login, whatever the response we have got from the login API, we have stored that into our local storage. So you can see role is admin. So this is the key in the local storage. So first we need to read the data from the local storage. So in constructor constant local data is equal to local storage dot get item, and key we have to pass. So key is user login. Then if additional check like data is not equal to null. So now we need to write again if condition. If okay, sorry, before that we have to parse the data, because in local storage we store the data into string format. So whenever we retrieve, we have to convert it back to the object. So constant user data, or let's create a variable logged user data colon any equal to, let's declare it when we won't be initializing it. So here instead of constant variable, so we will be storing this dot user data is equal to JSON dot parse. This is the method which will convert string into object if in the string we have the object format of data. So local data, we need to pass it over here. So from Angular 15, this is mandatory. Whenever you read from the local storage, you need to add a if statement check with the not null. Then only you can use that. Otherwise, it will throw you the error. Right? So now here we can add a condition like if this dot local user data, logged user data dot role equal to, if it is admin, then we need to call this function. So this dot get all users. So if role is admin, we have to get all the users. But if it is not admin, so else block. If it is not admin, it will obviously go to the else block. So there we will be calling this API. Now this dot this API, right? If role is not admin, we will be calling this API. Now you can see here, we have to send the logged in client ID, and that we will be getting in this variable from the local storage data. So instead of this static one, let's me remove that, then plus to concatenate dot client ID. Let's see client ID. In this variable, I have the client ID, right? So just see once again. So first we have read the data from the local storage. In local storage, we have stored the data while logging. There itself, it is everything like role and client ID and user ID, everything. So we have converted that into the object. Then we have added a check. If it is a role is having the admin role. So we are calling this API, that is get all users. And if it is the role is not admin, it will be client admin, because this page is accessible to only super admin and the client admin, not the normal user. So only if and else is required here, right? So get all users will get all the users, and get all users by client ID will get the users of the logged in client ID. Okay. So now we have to use the cards instead of table. We will be using cards. So let's see Bootstrap card structure. Bootstrap 5 cards, 4 pen. Let's pick any something fancy design to show the list. Okay, not finding proper. Let's create our custom only. So we already had this card. So I will copy paste this and put it into the card. Okay. So in one row, I have to show at least 4 cards. So that will be call 3. And inside that, I will put my card, and I will use the ng for on this column. So star ng for equal to let item of my variable name where I have the array of users. So this user list, it will go over here. Now in header, I will be showing the username. So that will be item dot. Let's see the API response. Username we have. Right? In the header, we have shown the username. Then in card body, let's create again row call 6. And again, one more call 6. Here we will be showing company name, that is client name, like of which client this user is. And that's it. And is active or not. So just 2 things we will be showing. Sorry, I missed the item dot client name and item dot is active. Now, so see, on the call 3, we have used the for loop. So inside that we had the card. So instead of success, let's make it secondary. So this card will be multiple. So let's save and check now. So in the network call, we will current role is admin. Let me just add a debugger so that we can check. So you can see details are there, but let's just add a debugger. So from here also you can open the user component with Control P. Let's add a debugger over here. Let's go to another page and let's come back to user. So see now, we are in the constructor. In local data, we have read the data from the local storage, but it is in the string format. So we have added a check of null, and then we are converting that string data to object. So see now current role is admin. So it will go to the if condition, right? and it will call this function. And from here, we are calling all the users. You see in API, you can see around, let's see how many records we have, 38 records we have, and this is of all the records, right? See, these are the all records we have of all the users. Now let's try to log in with some another company. Let's see the user detail. Let's try TCS Pune. Password is 112233. Now let's inspect it again. Now if we go to the user page, see, now role will be something else. Okay, why we have got the admin only? Something is wrong. Let me check it again. Because same, it is there. TCS Pune, or let's try Wipro. 2345. Sign in. So in result dot data, we have got role client admin. Yeah, this is correct, but TCS Pune might be admin role might be there. So now it will store the data. So see, now we have the correct data, dashboard, rooms, and users. So now if we go to the users page, okay, one thing I have missed, you can see layout is getting changed. When we logged in, secondary color was there, but now it is dark. That is because we haven't changed the route. Now user component is having access to both the super admin as well and the client admin as well. So you can see this is home component is for super admin role. So here we have the path name as users, but now same users, this same route we have used in the user layout also. That's why it is taking the user admin super admin layout. So that's why we need to copy this and paste it over here in client layout, same component. So this is like for same component, we are going to have two routes, but just your route name should be different. Okay, this is client user. Let's copy this and we have to put it in the user layout instead of this. Users. So let's save and check. Now it should render fine. Okay, so now if I click on users, still it is going there. Let me just log out again with Pro 2345 login. Now let me inspect what URL is coming here. Still it is coming users only. It is saved properly. Router link, we have got the user. Okay, what Wipro is having, let me check the local storage. Client admin only. Let's see the component, which component is rendering. App client layout. Okay, so we are placing in the user. So let me just client layout. So we have to add that. This was a user layout, so we don't need it over here. It should be in the client layout. So this is the right. Let me remove this. Now it will work fine. So now if we inspect here, you can see client user is there. Now if I click, now same component is there. Let's check the API call. Okay, get all users API call is there. It should not. Let's debug the code now. Let's enable the debugger. Users. So now, why role is coming admin? Are we using some separate variable data? Let's check in the login component what in which variable we are storing. Because I have multiple applications running, so it might be okay. Logged in user data, and we have used something else. Let's go back to the user. Instead of user login, we need this. So let's save. because every time it was getting us the login only, admin role only. So let's check now. So now in logged in user data, client admin is there and the client username is Wipro. Now it is correct. Okay, so now it will go to the else block. And if you see here in this dot logged in user data, we have got the client ID that is 167. So now it will call the get all users by client ID. So you can see here in this particular company, we had created the client admin user that is only visible. So now we have to create the user page to create the new user. So let's create that in the second side panel. So row call 6. Here we will be needing label, username, and we will be needing text box. So input, placeholder, and class, that is form control. Let me just copy paste. So now what things we are going to need in the forms? Let's see the Swagger for the input of the user, create user API. So add user is my API. So here you can see user ID is the primary key. So this we don't have to show. Client ID, right? So this we need to send username, password, and is active, and role. So these are the drop downs we have to show. Means client, username, password, is active, and the role. So 4 things we are going to need. So let me just copy paste. So this will be username, password, role, and is active. Now we need the client ID also, right? Let's say if we have logged in with the super admin, so we need to show the client dropdown as well, right? So let's create a client dropdown at the first. Now it will be dropdown because we will be calling the client API, get all the client, and dynamically we will create the dropdown. Now, so in the user component, first we need to make the API call to get all the clients. So let me just copy paste this, paste it. Let's check the client URL. Get all client. Try it out, execute. So this is my API, which is going to get me all the clients. So let me remove this. This will be get all clients. We need to create a variable which will hold all the clients colon any square bracket equal to initialization. So here it will be clients. Now let's initialize the on init, implement on init. Then we need to add ng on init function. And in this function, we are going to call this. Right. Again, one thing, if the role is admin, then only we are going to need this API call. So we rather than here, we can keep that API call over here. Because if the role is not admin, means only client is login. So there is no use of this client. So we are reducing one API call. If we put it in the ng on init without any condition, if it doesn't matter like it is super admin or the normal client admin, it will call that API, right? Because this API response we are going to need only if the role is admin. So that's why we have put that in this if condition, right? So now in clients, we will have all the client data. So option, we will use for loop on this option. Star ng for is equal to let client of value should be property binding. So we have to wrap it here, then client dot client ID. And inside option, we have to show the client name. So again, for loop instance, that is client dot, let's see what things we get. Client name. Always try to copy paste because see, here I have done the mistake CLEINT. So this is the proper. So always try to copy paste. If you write it down, you might do the spelling mistake and you won't get the error also. Let's add a default option. Value will be empty and it will act as a placeholder. Select client, right? So this will be select client. label. Right. So now username is done, password is done, role. So for role also we are going to need the drop down. So let me just replace this. We don't need that dynamic option over here. Let's just add a static option, copy, paste, select role. So first role will be client admin, and let's see the roles from the login page, because based on that we are writing, and client user. So only two roles we have to add, because super admin is only one, so we don't have to provide that option over here, right? So let's just provide the same thing over here. Let's add space. This is client user. So you can see select client. I mean, client was coming from the API side. So that's why this is dynamic option. This option is dynamic, but role is the static one. So we have to add the static options, and is active, it will be checkbox. We need save and cancel button. So let's create row call 6 button SM secondary. Let's just copy paste this, and this will be success. This will be save, and this will be reset. Okay, so let's see if form is visible properly or not. Yeah, so this is the form. So currently we don't have any client, but if we are logged in with the client, we don't need to show this, right? So we need to hide that. If the logged in user role is admin, then only we have to show that. So we just have to copy this condition and put it over client dropdown, this particular row, with ngIf, star ngIf equal to double quotes. So now the client dropdown will be only visible only if the logged in role is admin, right? So this is that condition. If the role is logged in, client is logged in, user role is admin, then only this select client dropdown will be visible. Otherwise, form will have only username and the remaining things. Let's save and check now. Now, see, now it is not visible, but let's try to log in with admin. Now that dropdown will be visible. See, got it? So this is the hide and show things we have to do in case of admin role and in case of client admin role. Now, but this API need the client ID, right? When we have to create the user, that need a client ID. So in case of admin, we have the drop down that we are going to bind with the client ID, right? So let's create the object first. Let's copy this object in the component.ts user obj equal to curly braces. Let's remove the basic thing. Okay. Now, so this is the basic object we have created. Now, if the client role is not admin, then we have what we have to do in user object. We have to assign the client ID inside that. Dot client ID is equal to this client ID, which we have got in local data. Dot, we have used that over here. So this same thing we have to pass. So if the logged in user is not admin, then we are setting the client ID from the local storage. Okay, but if it is admin, we will be attaching this to the drop down. So let's copy paste. Let's put it over here with ng model. So this was the only catch we have, because we have used the same component for admin and normal client admin also. Let me just add the remaining field. Now username will go over here. Now this, now if you see, we haven't taken that form tag, so there is no need of the name attribute. Okay, if we have our form inside the form tag, then only that name attribute is necessary. then role, and last one is active. Let's copy. Let's paste it over here. Now on click of save button, we need to make the API call. So like click event on save client from bracket. Let's create this function. Now here we have to make the API call with HTTP post. So post will need two parameters. First is the URL and second is the object. So object will be this dot user object, which we have binded to the form. Let's copy the URL, write out, execute. It will go over here, right? Now basic things will be same. So let me just copy paste this, but we won't be getting the user list. So on click of save client, sorry, this is save user, not save client. Let me copy paste and put it in the HTML also. So once we save the user and result is positive, need to copy paste this condition, because based on the role only we have to call the get all users or get client by ID. So like that. If in else, we will be showing the error, whatever we get from the API side. So that is result.message save user. So let's add the debugger and see. Let's save. This was the only catch we had. Now this is we are logged in with the super admin, so we have to select the client. So let's say client, we will select this. Okay, client. No proper name is there. So let's select Aniket. Username will give ANK001. Password 112233. Select role will be client user. Okay, so now we are creating normal user for this particular client. On click of save. See, now in user object, we have got the client ID as 191. So for Aniket, we might have the client ID as 191. Then role is also selected. Just user ID, we are sending 0 because this is primary key, right? So let's just add a debugger in subscribe. Let's continue. So in result.result, we have got true. So if role is admin, so get all user client is there. Continue. Okay, so you can see this record got added. Now let's try to log in with Wipro again. 345 sign in. Now if we go to the user page, now let me open the console. The thing we have did in the constructor, let's see that. See, now we have created the object, that is user object with client ID 0. Now let's check where it goes. So now the user role is client admin. So it will go to the else block. And here what we are doing, we are setting the client ID, which we have read from the local storage, that is 167. And we are appending that into the user object. See, in user object, we have got the client ID. So it doesn't matter if we don't show the client dropdown. We have that client ID already assigned to that property. So now we just have to provide the user. Let's say that is Kunal _.net might be the username we will create. Okay, password 223344. Role will be client user, and let's click on create, save. So now if you see in user object, we haven't select, we don't have that client dropdown, but client ID is already assigned, that we have read from the local storage and assign it into the constructor. So if we create, if we continue, now role is client admin. So obviously it is going to the else block. So it will call the API, that is get all users by client. So see, kunal.net is there. So it is showing only users who are created by this Wipro client. So this was the only catch in the application where we are using the same component, and the same component we are displaying for the client admin also and the super admin also. Just we are hiding the client dropdown and that thing. Okay. So this comes to an end with the basic approach of our whole project. So now this is just a package component we have created. All the basic CRUD operation we have done. Next thing is we have to implement the login page. Now, how do we implement the login page? First thing, like we have to create some components. So let's first create the login component. In the pages, right click on terminal, ng generate component login. So this will create a login page. So as I've told you earlier, when we create the basic project, app component is our parent component, right? So now we have to again create one more component that will act as a parent component once we do the login. So let's just name it as a home. Generate component home. Let's press enter. So whenever we have to implement the login functionality, we have to create two components. First is the login component and one is the extra component where we are going to put our navbar and everything. So now for currently we had put our navbar in the app component. Now we have to just remove this and put it into the home component. This is the first step. Now in app component, we just need the router outlet. So app component will only have the router outlet, right? This is the first step for login. Then we have to change the routing little bit. Now in routing, what we have to do? First, we have to create an empty path. So let's say path :empty component :login component is suggesting, just give it a time. Login component. Okay, so first pass is first route we have created with the empty. Okay, instead of this, we can mark it as a start. This is the wildcard route. Okay, if it doesn't have anything, it will redirect to login page. Then we have to create one more path that will be empty, and component will be our home component. Home component, right? Now to this home component, we are going to have children's. So children's. Children's are not okay, comma is missing. So children's is there. Inside children, we will have again array. So here, what are the routes we had earlier now? These are the routes which should be accessible once we do the login. So this will go under the home component. Let me just format. So now, if you see, first path is an empty path, means with star, that is a wildcard route. Then we have an empty path, and for this empty path, the component is home component. But to this home component, we have children's. All the component after, these are the components which we want user to access once we do the login, right? So this is the first step. Now, let's just copy paste the code from the login template. So this is the code, copy. In the login HTML, let's paste it. Now we will need the CSS also. Let's copy and put it in the login component.css. Now let's try to see how does it look. Let's save. Terminal. Let's see if it is compiled properly or not. Yeah, it is compiled properly. So now let's remove this. Something is not right. Let's check. We don't have any error also. Let's try. Let's make it empty. Yeah, so login page is there. Okay, now let's remove the unnecessary thing which we don't want. Just like this span tag and everything. We don't need this. Create account. This is also we are not going to need. So just the login form. So this will be login forgot your password is not needed, and we'll come back. These things we can put it over here, and the footer we don't need it, so let's remove it. Let's save and check if we get the proper login page. Yeah, so we have got the proper login page. Now if let's see the Swagger and check our API. So for login also we do have the login API. Okay, so from API side we should get the details, like whatever the user and password we send, it should get validated from the API side. So for that we have an API. So in the meeting controller, in user it will be there. Yeah, so this is the login API. Okay, so first let's see what are the users we have. So if we see get all users, so let's check what are the users we have so that we can see the username and password. Oh my God. So my API are not working. So let me just give it a minute. Let's try again the API. Now error should get resolved. Get all user, try it out, execute. Yeah, okay. So these are the users I have. Here you can see username also is there and password is also there. So I need to check the user with admin. ClientAdmin. Okay, let's log in with anything. So username is Wipro and client password is 12345. Let's try the login API now. So this is my login API. In this login API, I have to pass username, that is Wipro, and password is 2345. Let's execute. So in response, yeah. So in response, you can see I have got the particular user detail of that user. If I send the wrong password, let's say something, and try to click on execute, I will get the error like username and password does not is wrong, right? So I need to, now we have created the form. On click of this sign in button, we have to hit this API along with this object, right? So let's write that. First, we will complete the login page. Then I will show you the, let me stop and share again. Okay, then I will explain you how the role-based will work. Now, we have to create an object that will be login object. So for that, login obj colon any is equal to curly bracket. So we need the actual objects. So always try to copy paste it from here. Don't try to write it in your own language or anything you think. This properties should be same. Okay. Next thing, in the form we have to bind the ng model. So square bracket round bracket ng model is equal to our object dot our property name, login object dot our field name, that is username. Then since this ng model means we have this input text box inside a form tag, so we need the name attribute also. Name is equal to, you can put the same property name, that is username. Let's copy paste the second field, that is user password, and instead of this email it will be text only because our username doesn't have the email, right? And password, instead of password, let's put it as a text only so that we can see the password. And this will be user password, user name, right? So first thing is done. We have created the object and we have bind this object to our form. Next thing is on the click of the button, we need to make the API call, right? So let's write the event. So this is the button. So we will have a click event on login. This will be function we will be creating. So let's create this function into login component.ts. So now we need to make the API call, right? So we need the constructor to create the instance of HTTP client service. Now, instead of writing the API call in the function, in the service function, we will just write it over here. So for that, we need to create the instance of HTTP client. So private HTTP colon HTTP client. Then in login function, we have to write the API call. So this dot HTTP dot post. So as we can see in the Swagger, this is post API, right? So post API will have URL and the object. So let's copy the URL. This is my URL. This is first parameter and second parameter will be object. So object will be this dot login object. Then dot subscribe, round bracket, inside round bracket, result colon any, after that equal to greater than curly bracket and enter. This is the whole code, and wherever we make the API call, this code will be same only, right? So now here we need to add the if statement. So you can see in the login API, we get the object. So in that, if result property is true, then we say like login is successful. So res dot result. If it is true, then we can say the login is success. But if it is false, we can say the login has some issue. User is not able to log in. So else part will be alert. We will show the error message. Error message also we are getting from the API side. That is under property message. So let's copy this and put it over here. Now let's add a debugger inside a subscribe. Let's add a debugger before the log API also. Now let's save and check. So that was Wipro and 2345. Let's open the console. Wipro and password was 2345. Yeah, console is on. So on click of sign in, you can see we are in the login page. Now, if I hover on the login object, you can see whatever the detail I have filled, that got filled into the object property also, right? You can see. Now we are going to make the API call. On click of continue, API call will be there. Once we get the response, yeah, 22 line number debugger is activated. So in RES, you can see result is true. And in data, we have got the data. Got it? So now the whole data, whatever the we have password, username and password. Now in API has communicated with the database. In database, it has find the particular record matching this username and this password. Then it has returned that record. So you can see client ID is this, user ID is this, username, password also it has sent, and role also, client admin. And is active or not, it is also sent. The whole information of that particular user it has sent. Now this application has three roles, that is super admin, client admin, and the client user. So we have to make routing like that, right? So for that, this is just a login part is done. Now we have to start working on the role-based authentication. So for that, we just like we had created home component, like that again we have to create, let's say, two more layout component. Okay, so first will be ng generate component. First will be for user layout. Now home layout we will be using for super admin. User layout will be using for client user, and one more, that is client layout, which we will be using for client layout. Client layout. So we have created three extra component: home component, user layout component, and the client layout component. Okay. Now in the routing part, this was home component, because these all menus, these are nothing but menus which are accessible to home, because home component we are using for super admin role. Okay, so this super admin role will have access to these pages, so that's why we have kept them here. Now next thing, once we get the response from the API side, here we just need to check like if user dot role is equal to client admin. Let's create one what we can say routing. Now we need to, once we have got the response, if the user role is client admin, then we have to navigate somewhere else, and if it is super admin, we have to navigate something else, right? So let's create the components for all three different roles. Dashboard component, where user will land. Once user logged in, it will land to that particular page. So for that, ng generate component, I'm creating admin, let's say super admin dashboard. This component will be used for super admin. Then ng generate, I'm using the shortcut. Either you can write the complete generate, either you can write the complete component, or you can use the shortcut also. Admin dashboard is done. Then client admin dashboard. Then one more dashboard component we are going to need, that is client user, the normal manager which this application they are going to use. Client user dashboard. So let's save and check. Now we have created some components, right? So we need to create the routes of them also. So in app routing module.ts, just like this route is for super admin. Now we need the same thing again, but now it will have another layout, that is client admin dashboard component as a parent component. Then to this we will have children's. Now here we are going to have object, let's say path :empty. Sorry, this will be, let's just write component first. For client admin, we have created client dashboard. So client dashboard component. Client admin dashboard component, and this will be client hyphen board. This is now currently in client dashboard, we just have created one component. Now, just like this, we need another route for the client user. So path will be empty and component means parent component will be client user layout. What is the component we have created? Client admin is there. Okay, user layout. So user layout. Then we need children for this also. Now here we are just going to have single component that will be client user dashboard. User dashboard. This will be my path, means URL, then component. Okay, on that user client user dashboard component. So see, this was an empty path just to load the login page. Once if in URL we don't have anything, then this route, this was for super admin. Then this was for client admin dashboard. Sorry, client admin. What is the client layout? So this will be client layout component. This is the layout component. This will be parent component. For super admin, home component is my parent component. For client admin, client layout is my admin component. Then client admin. Then this is for user layout, user role. Okay, now let's try to log in. So now we have created different component. Now, based on the role we get from the API side, we have to navigate to the different component. So in here, we get the result if result is true. So we can write it here. If condition we are going to write. So result dot data dot, let's see the API call. So you can see here result dot data and then role. In role we are getting the role equal to if we are getting super admin, let's save again, else if, because we are going to need the multiple condition. Again same thing, just if condition will change, this will be now client admin. So let's copy this, put it over here, and again else if round bracket, and that will be client user. This will be third role. Let's check with the particular user, trying login with the particular user, what role we get, but I think this is right. So if this is super admin, we are going to navigate to the super admin dashboard. If the logged in user is client admin, then we are going to navigate to the client admin dashboard. If the logged in user is client user, then we are going to navigate to the client user dashboard. So for that, for navigating from one page to another page, we are going to need a service. So that service creation is in constructor. So private router colon router. If I click here, one import will be added over here automatically. Now here this dot router dot navigate by URL, and here we need to pass the route. So if it is super admin where we are going to route, we haven't created the dashboard. Let me just copy paste. So we have created super admin dashboard, like that is admin dashboard. So admin dashboard, and the component will be admin dashboard. So if the logged in user is having role super admin, so then we will navigate to the admin dashboard. So this path will go over here. This is first. If the role is client admin, then we are going to navigate to client dashboard. So this path, copy, paste it over here. Let me just give a space so that it can be visible. And third thing, that is if the user logged in user is having role that is client user, so we will navigate to the user dashboard. Let's copy and paste. So let's save and see like what roles we get. Let me check if we have the admin user. Admin, it will be at the end. Client user. Let's see if we have any admin role. Client admin. Oh, we have to search the roles. Let me just find the admin username. Client user, client admin. Okay, I think we don't have. So we don't have any admin role. I think someone might have deleted this. This API open, so someone might have deleted the admin login detail. Okay, so let's just try with the two. So now we have the Wipro. So that was let's try to enter Wipro, and the username password was 2345. So on click of sign in, right? So let's continue. Now if we got the response, after that we will check. So see, in result we have got result as true. F10. Now the result dot data dot role, it is client admin, so it will go to the second if condition. See, now it is navigating to client dashboard. Currently we don't have any route, so after this, once I continue, it will try to navigate to the client dashboard. Let's continue. So you can see client layout work page loaded, right? So now what we have to do, we have to create navbar there also. In home component we had put that navbar. So just like that, we need to copy and put it in the client layout also. Now client layout won't have the access of packages on the client on and activation also. It will just have a dashboard, and one more it will be, that is rooms, because he will be having access to create the rooms. Just like this, we are going to need the user layout also. So in the user layout also we will keep it. Now the client user won't have access to the room page, so let's remove this. He will have access to the dashboard. He won't have access to the users also. He can only book the room. So let's room booking. We will change the routing after some time. For now we are just checking if we navigate role-based authentication, role-based dynamic menu is there or not. So let it reload. So you can see currently we are in the client dashboard. So you can see we are going to get the menus like dashboard, rooms, and user. Now we need to write the functionality of logout button. On click of logout, we should navigate back to the login page. So let's write it down. So now we have to do the same thing in all the three components, that is client layout, user layout, and the admin also. So just let's click event on logout. Same function. Let's create the function. Now again we need to navigate, right? So for that we need to create the constructor and router service. So whenever we have to navigate from .ts, we have to make use of the private router. By using router only we can navigate from .ts. So here we simply have to write this .router .navigate by URL, and it will be empty. Let's try and saving if it should navigate or not. Let's try it. So on click of layout, let it reload. On click of logout, see it is navigating to the login page, right? So now this same thing we are going to need in all three components. That is client admin we have done. Then in home component also we are going to need. So let's copy paste, and we have to call this first. Let's add the import. We have to call this function on the button click. So that is this click function round bracket. Again, let's copy paste this. And last thing was user layout. So router import we are going to need. This function we have to call on the button click. Same thing, because we had three different layout. So we are going to just copy paste the thing. Okay, one more shortcut is there just to do this all three things in a single component. For that, dynamic routing can be used. Okay, but we are just seeing the simple scenarios, right? So let's try to log in with the different user, that is client user. So let's see the client user. So you can see Sai is the username. Let's put it over here, and password is sai@12345. So let's copy paste, and let's click on sign in. Continue. Let's wait for the response. Yes. So now we have got result as true. Now let's check what role it has got. So in role we have got client user. So if I continue, see it will go to the client user block, and it will navigate to the user dashboard. So if I continue, so you can see client user has only access to the dashboard and the room booking. It cannot see the rooms creation page or the users creation page. This is nothing but role-based navigation. Now let's try to create one more user for the admin. So from API only we will create one user. So user ID will be 0, client ID will be 0. Let's put client ID as 1, username as super admin, user password 112233 is active, and role will be, what role we have added here? Login component super admin. So let's just add that role over here. Let's try to execute. Let's see if it creates or not. Yeah, saved successfully. Now our super admin has the username super admin and the password is 112233. Let's try that now. On click of logout, super admin 112233. Sign in. Continue. Let's check the API response now. Yeah. So in result you got true, and in data in the role you get the super admin. So see, now it will go to the first if block and it will navigate to the admin dashboard. See, now admin dashboard have access to the page, client, activation, and user. All four components he can see. Now let's try to navigate, and let's try to log in with client. 2, 3, 4, 5. This is client admin. So it will have access to the dashboard, rooms, and the users. And if we log in with the normal client user, he will have access to only to dashboard and the booking page. So this is role-based navigation. Like whatever the user enter, if user has provided the correct credential, API will return the data, and we have written the code to navigate according to the role. So if the role is super admin, we are navigating to the admin dashboard and he can see all the menus. But if it is client admin, he can see this particular menus, dashboard, rooms, and the users, right? And client user, if it is client user, he will only get to see dashboard and the room booking page. So this is nothing but role-based login. So once we do the login, we need to store somewhere the user details. So for that, once the login is successful, we are going to make use of the local storage. So local storage dot set item method is local storage means the browser storage. We are going to use local storage to store the login data. Means whoever the logged in user is, we are going to store some data because we are going to need that data. So for that, key will be, we can store the data in the local storage with key value format data. So key will be logged in user data. So this is my key, and value will be whatever the value, whatever the object we get in result.data. So the data we have to store in the local storage, it should be always in the string format. So for that, if you see here in the login page, let me try to log in again. I will show you the data. Wipro 2345 on click of sign in, continue. So in the result data, we have got the object in data, but local storage will only allow us to store the string format of data. So we need to convert this object into string. So for that, we have a method that is JSON dot stringify. This is already provided by JavaScript. We need to pass the object over here, result dot data. So let's save and check. Now we have stored the complete object into local storage. Let's store role also or username. Set item. Logged in user name. And we need to store this result.data.role over here. Now, beside this, we have a logout button once we do the login, right? So beside this, we need to show the logged in username. So for that, we have stored the username into local storage data. Now we need to use this key to read the data. So in all the component, that is client layout or everywhere, we need to create one variable. So let's create a variable that is username colon string is equal to initialize to empty. Then in constructor, we will try to read constant name is equal to local storage. Instead of set item, now we have to read. So get item method is there. And for get item, we don't need the second parameter. So that's it. First parameter is enough. Then whatever the data we get, that we can assign to the username, this dot username. What it is saying, okay, it is asking us to add the null check. So from Angular 15, it is asking to add the null check. So let's add the null check. Like if name is not equal to null, then curly bracket, then we can assign this dot username is equal to name, whatever the value we get from the user. So now these three things we are going to copy paste in all the component wherever we have the layout page. Again, user layout. Since we have 3 layout page, means 3 navbars are there, right? So we are going to need that. And now this username we will print beside this button. So let copy in interpolation. We are going to do that. Copy. Let's put it in the home page also, and then client layout also. So let's save and check. So now wherever user is getting logged in, we shall be able to see the username. So let's log out. Super admin password 112233. Let's try to click on sign in. Okay, we need to add that. See, it is visible. Just we need to add that color. Let it put it in a span tag. Inside span tag, it will be over here, and this will be, let's add a class that is text white to add the white color. Let's just copy paste this in all the component. See, this is repetitive code. Again, same thing we have to do it in all the 3 components. This we can reduce to a single page if we have done the dynamic routing. So let's put it here. But dynamic routing, it will come in the advanced part. But we are trying to create the basic project. So let's do it the same way. See, super admin is visible. Let's try to log out. Let's create Wipro 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's click on sign it. So see, logged in username, you can see it over here. So this is the login part where we have implemented the login with role-based authentication. Means according to the role, we are going to see the menus. Let's change the color also to this nav bar. So let's say this is user layout. So in user layouts, let's add success as a background color. And then we have client layout. So here we can say secondary. Let's save and check if it shows the gray color. Yeah. So let's try to log out now. Let's try to log in the super admin 112233. If we log in with super admin, we get the black color. Now let's try to log in with the client admin. That is Wipro. We have 2345. So we got the secondary navbar color. So now you can see the menus are also dynamic and menu color is also dynamic according to the logged in role. So let's try to revise once again what we have did. First, we have to create login component, and then let's say we have three roles. So we had created three different components to act as a navbar. So user layout, client admin, and the home component. In all three components, we have kept this navbar and the router outlet in all three components. Just menus are different. Like this was client, so all the menus which were accessible for the client, only those menus we have kept it over here. Then changes in routing. We have to create routes with parent component. That is first is home component, then second is with client layout, then third is with user layout. So these are the basic things we have to do. Now in login page, we have integrated an API call, and if we get the response, and after that we are adding a check of role. So if result data.role is super admin, we are redirecting to the admin dashboard. If it is client admin, we are redirecting to the client dashboard, and if it is user, we are redirecting to the user dashboard. Okay. So this login and the authentication part is done. Okay. So now we have to first, we will start after package, we will start with the room creation. So if you see the API of room creation, we have to send the client ID. Means whoever the client has logged in, that client ID we have to read from the local storage and send it while inserting the room. So let's create, we have the client component already, but now room component we have to create. So in pages, let's create the room component. So let's name it as ng generate component rooms. So this is just a component I'm creating where I will be creating basic CRUD operation of rooms. So in the rooms, let me just copy the basic content which we have created already in the package component. So we don't have to write the whole code again. Okay, the basic things are going to be the same. Just some labeling changes will be there. Rooms portal. Now let's see what are the, this is the object which we need for the rooms. So let's copy paste. Let's create the object first in the room component. Room obj is equal to curly bracket. Let's empty the things. Now, so this is the object we have created. In HTML part, we are going to need what things. So see, in the room object, we have room ID, room name, room location, room sitting capacity, is room active, and the client ID. But in the form, we just need to show these 4 field. Room ID is auto generated, right? So we don't have to send this. This created and then last updated it, right? These are the things which will get automatically inserted by the API side. And client ID, we are going to insert from reading the data from the local storage. So let's just create the form for these things. Let me just copy room object, room object, room object, and room object. Then room location, like where the particular room is. Then we have room sitting capacity, like what number of people can use this room. We are creating the rooms first, right? So for that, these are the basic details we have. Just give me a minute. Okay. So the basic form is done. Now we don't need the text area. So let's put it in a text box. Room capacity, let's change the labels. Seating capacity. Now we have to add the same thing over here also. Room location in the name also. And room name or name attribute, and same thing over here. Now we are going to use the same thing like add, just to show the save and the update button. So same thing will be there. Instead of package ID, it will be room ID. Just copy paste. If room ID is equal to 0, we are going to show the save button. If it is not, we are going to show the update button. So same thing in every component, this same logic is going to be there. So now instead of create package, it will be create new room. And let's create the isLoader variable also. Then we are going to need the function that is create new room. Then update room. So same thing we will be doing in all the components. Same thing happens whenever you start working. Insert, update, delete, nothing changes. This just object will get changed, UI will get changed, but the basic operation will be same. We call the API, we get the data, we show in the table or the cards, we create the form, and on click of save and update, we do the same thing. So nothing, the basic things are the same only. Okay, so now basic form is there. Let's create the route of the room component. So this will be in the client layout, because room component will have room page will have access to the client admin only. So this will be rooms, and our component name is rooms component. So in client layout, we need to add the route. So that will be, we had already created, we just need to add the path, that is rooms over here. So let's save and check. Okay, now package that for loop variable we need to change. So instead of package array, it will be rooms array. We need to create one more variable, that is rooms array, any square bracket is equal to square bracket. Now instead of package array, it will be rooms array. So let's put it over here. Now edit and the delete button, let's just comment it for now. Let's save all, and it should run now. No errors are there. So Wipro, now this is client admin, right? So now we have got the access of rooms page. Now, so this is just the basic code. Now we have to read the client ID from the local storage, because we are not going to show the client drop down here. But in API, we need to send the client ID, right? So for that, we need to read the data from the local storage. So when we logged in, we have stored the data into local storage. So you can see logged user data. We have got client ID over here. So in local storage, we have the whole data. So we need to first read that data, and from that data, we need the client ID. So in constructor, let's write the constructor. So here first we need to read the data. Const user data is equal to local storage. Now to read the data, we have the method get item, and key is, let's see the key name, that is logged user data. This is the key. We have got the data again. If we are using the local storage, we need to add that if statement null data check. So for that, user data not equal to null. Okay, so we have read the data. Now if it is not equal to null, we have to add the client ID here. So this dot, okay, first we need to convert. So when we store the data into the local storage from the login page, we have stored the data by converting it into the string format. Now we have stored the data into string format into local storage. So now we have to convert it again back to the object format. So for that we have to use json.parse user parse data constant. This is nothing but variable. It is just like the variable. Okay, we are creating a variable which is accessible within the constructor only. We cannot use user data outside these curly braces. It will have limitation up to this only. So we have to use json.parse, and inside parse we have to send the user data. Then this dot room object dot client ID is equal to user parse data dot client ID. So that will be this property. It will be over here. Okay. Let's add the debugger over here and let's check the code first. So while initialization, we have created the object with client ID 0. But in constructor, we are reading the data from the local storage, converting that string data into the object, and in room object, in client ID, we are assigning the client ID of the logged in user. Let's check that now. So if you see in room object, we have the client ID as 0. But now we are trying to read the data. So in user data, you can see the data we have got from the local storage is in the string format because it is enclosed in the double quotes. So whatever it is enclosed in the double quotes, it is nothing but string. So we have to convert that into the object format. So we have just added a check like user data is not null. After that, you can see user pass data C. Now it is looking like an object. So user data dot client ID. So that we are assigning to the user object. So now in room object, you have the client ID ready. Now you just need to make the API call. Let's just write the API call. So to make the API call, again, we need to create the, now we are not using that service. We are creating HTTP over here only, HTTP client API. Then we need to write the function over here. So this dot HTTP dot post, then API call. So let's see the API call to create the room. Let me just try it out. I will just execute to see the URL. It will show me the error because we haven't sent the data, client ID and everything. But this, what I was needed, the URL. Then we need to send the objects. So comma, this dot room object. Then dot subscribe, the same thing again and again. Result colon any equal to greater than curly bracket enter. Right? So this is the API call for the room creation. Now we need to again function that is load rooms by client ID function which we are creating. So in API, you will see one API that will return all the rooms by client ID. See client ID. So let's see the Wipro. What is the client ID we had for Wipro? 167. Now if I put it over here, let's try it out. 167, click on execute. So currently we don't have any rooms for this client. So this is the API call which I have to hit. So this dot HTTP, the method is get only. HTTP and this is URL, and this should be dynamic, right? So we had the client ID in this object, so we can use this over here. Let's just remove this. Again, concatenation. So now we had that URL dynamic. Whatever the user logged in, that will pass it over here. And we need to store the data into the rooms array. So inside subscribe, this dot rooms array is equal to result dot data. And we need to call this on ng on init. So rather than ng on init, we can call this once we get the client ID, because this client ID, we are going to need it over here. So rather call this API once we get the client ID. So this dot load client by, let's format. So see, this is whole code, because we need to show the rooms. Let's say TCS logged in. So we need to show the rooms of the TCS only, na? We shouldn't be show the rooms of Infosys or the Wipro. Whatever the user logged in, we should be able to see the rooms created by him only, just like the banking account. When we log in, we get to see our information only, not any another person information. That is this thing, whole authorization part, right? So let's map this. Let's see what details we are getting. Now we have one more API, that is get all rooms. Here, if you try this, it will return all the rooms of all the clients. See, it is returning all the room of all the clients. So what details we are getting? Room name. Let's just print that in HTML part. Rooms, HTML. So this is room name, then room location, room sitting capacity, and is room active. Okay, these are the things which we are going to see. Let's change the name also. And always make it capital. Now we see like some are using the same name, like whatever the field name, same name is you are copy pasting out over here. So it's not like that. We just need to show the particular column name, like what column data we are going to display. Status. Let's save and check. So see, now in constructor, we have got this. Let's add the debugger in here also. Let's continue. So in here, we got the 167. So if we continue, currently we don't have any data. So see, in the response, we have got empty array. Now let's try to create the room. Let's say Alaska is my room name, location, V, wing, first floor. This is my location of this Alaska room. Sitting capacity, let's say 10 people can use this room. Now on click of save, let's just add a debugger. Okay, we haven't added the get API call once the success is there. So we need to call the same API in the success of this. Again, this API is going to return if true and false. So again, in every API call, we need to make sure like if API has returned true, then only we should make the get API call. So in result only we have to make this. Let's show the alert also. This is room created success. And if we got the false, so we need to use the else block. Again, we need to show the error, but error we will be getting from API side. So that will be result.message message field. Okay, so if result is success, we will again call this API and it will call the updated rules. So let's save and check again. Let it reload. So on the page load, we will have one API call that is get load all rooms, get all rooms by client ID. Currently, it doesn't have any rooms. Let's try to create Alaska room location, viewing first floor, sitting capacity, let's say 10 members, and it is active. So on click of save, see, we have got the debugger. And if we hover on this, see, client ID is already there. So look, we don't need that client ID drop down. We have read the data from the local storage. Whatever the client is logged in, we have read the data and put it into that object. So just like that, right? So let's try to continue now. Let's see what response we get. So in result, you can say data saved successfully. If result is true, it will go in there and again it will make the API call. Now we will get some data. See, Alaska room is created, right? Why it is showing client admin? We have stored username. Let's see the login page. Role we have stored. We have to store the username now. Username. Okay, let's try to log in with another client. Now Wipro has created only one room, that is Alaska. Let's try to log in with some different. Let's try to use get all user. Let's try another detail. Let's try this. Call me Pune and password is 6523. Sign in. So this also doesn't have. Let's try some golden 01, enter capacity B. Let's say C, second floor, setting capacity as 6, save. Okay, and see, now Cogni Pune has one room that is golden 01. Now I'm again trying to log in with Wipro. So Wipro had only one room, that is Alaska. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we get to room C. So this is the difference. Now I will show you the API call also. So everywhere we are sending the logged in client ID. Let me go to the users. Let's go to the again rooms. So see here what ID is going 167. 167 is the client ID of Wipro. Now if I log out and if I try with Cogni Pune 6523. This was previous call for the Wipro. And if I sign in, if we go to the room space, see 170. Now 170 is means in Cogni Pune they have created only one room, that is this particular room. So we are getting the rooms according to the logged in client, right? When we are creating room for the logged in client only, because everywhere in all the API call we are sending client ID, which we are reading from the local storage. So this is the logic which you have to do whenever by logged in user, you are going to get some data related to that particular logged in user. So you need to send some data, right? So in this scenario, we are sending the client ID, the logged in client ID in all the API call. Let's say it is get rules by client ID, or when you are inserting new record also. So for that, what we have did, we have created the object. In that object, we had the room client ID, which we have just read the data from the local storage, parse it back, and in the room object.client ID, we have assigned the client logged in client ID. This is the base for logged in. I mean, we have to get the data according to the logged in user. So this is the base and the logic we have to use in every component. Whenever we are creating users, we have to do the same thing. Hope you are getting this, what I'm trying to tell you. So now next part is the booking. So I have created the component, and in that component, I have created HTTP client object in the constructor. So for booking, first we need to create the route. So in the app routing model.ts, now booking page will be visible to client admin and the client user only. So let's create in both the routing user booking. Now same component will have two routes. Booking component, and this will be same, will be present in the client admin also, just route name will be changed. That's it. Now we need to add both the routes in client layout first. So this is client admin. So here it will go this route. And the same route will go into the user layout also, just the route name will be changed. Route name we will be using from the user layout, that is user-booking. So this will go in the user layout. Now let's save and check. So we are logged in with Wipro client. So if we go to the users, we had this logged in. Let's create one more. Let's create searching. Password 112233. Select role as a client user and let's click on save. Yes. So let's try to log in with Sachin now. Sachin 112233. Yeah. So you can see booking page is visible over here also. Now in API, you can see this is the one API I have, which gets you the list of times. You can see time will start from 12 AM and it will end up to, you just scroll down, up to 11:30 PM. So these are the various time slot a user can book a particular room for. Okay. Now we need to call this API first in our booking component. Let me just close this and close this. So in booking component, first I need to call the time. So get time list, opening, closing, curly bracket. So this dot http dot get method is that API URL dot subscribe round bracket inside round bracket result colon any equal to greater than curly bracket enter. Now we need to create a variable to hold that whatever the response we get from this particular API. So time array colon any whatever the response we get, we need to store that into this variable. This dot time array is equal to res dot data. Inside data, we are going to get the variable. So if you can see inside data, we are getting the actual array, right? So time array, we have got the list of time. Now, what we need to do, we need to create a calendar type of view, right? I mean, on the top, we will show the times, and in the left side, we will show the rooms, or in the left side, we can show the rooms. So for that, we will use table tr. So in here, I will create table. Inside that, I will create first tr. So as I told you, like we are going to create a calendar type of UI. So for that, I will just complete the UI first, then I will explain you how we are going to design it. So let's say we have a tr. Inside that, we have a td. Right. So let me just copy paste. So before this, let's call another API that will gives us the rooms list, right? So get rooms list. So let's check the room API according to the client. Get all rooms by client ID. This API we need to integrate. Let's copy the URL. We need to get the rooms of particular client. Let's say Wipro, this employee, logged in employee is of the client Wipro. So we need to read the local storage data. So that will be, let's add an ID over here or user detail colon any. Let's copy paste the things we have done in user. Let me copy paste. So we have seen this earlier, like we have to get the data. So this dot user details dot client ID will be there. So instead of this, we will just concatenate dot client ID. Right. Again, we need to call this once we get the data. So inside if statement only, we can call this. And let's implement the ng on init. So implements on init. We are going to have ng on init. And here we will call get time list method. Right. So let's see if two API calls are there or not. Yes, so here you can see get all rooms by client ID, that is 167. We have got the response. Some rooms are there, and get time leads also we have got the response. Now we need to create a calendar type of view. So for that, first we need to use the for loop on tr. So star ng for equal to. Now, if we are going to show rooms on the left side, so that we have to use the for loop on the tr. So let room of our rooms variable. Okay, we haven't created rooms variable. Let me create rooms array colon any equal to empty bracket, and here it will go here. So first array will be on the rooms array. Let's see. In this room we will print over here. The first day we will keep it empty. So this is a booking calendar. For example, if you can see, this is a Google Calendar. So we have to create a same structure like this. So let's say we will show the time in the left side, and on the top we will show the what you can say rooms names, right? So for that we have to create first a tr. Okay, now this tr will be responsible to show the first, I mean at the top we have to show the rooms, right? So in this tr I will first create a td, and in that let's say I will write room. Then second td I will use the for loop on this. So star ng for let room of our array which is holding rooms as room array. This will go over here. Let's print the room dot room name. Right. So this is our first year. So let's save and check. So you can see rooms are getting displayed over here. Next thing is in the left side, we have to show the times. I mean, what times we have. So again, we are opening one more tr. Then inside that, we will have for loop first on the time. So here star ng for is equal to let time of time array. So this is the variable name time array. Then inside that we have to show our first time, right? So td, and it will be time dot time id. Let's see if the name is same or not. Let's save. Check if time id is printing. Yes. So time id, instead of time id, we need to show the time only. Then we need to create the same tr also according to the rooms we have. So for that, again, we are going to need one td. So let me show you the structure now. So you can see we have got the, let me just add a style with 100%. Yeah, so like this. So you can see in the left side, we have got the time, and at the top, we have got the rooms. So we just need some structure. So let's just add a class days, and I have created a days class. In that border we have and a background. So this class will be applied over here also. Let's save now. Okay, so this is the structure we are going to have. Then we need blocks also here. So here we need blocks, empty spaces. So again, we will have td, and now how many tds we are going to need? The number of what we can say rooms we have, that number of tds we are going to need. So again, we are using the same for loop on over here. We need the class also, and we don't need to print anything over here. So let's see now. See, this is how it will look now. So let's just add this class over here, and let's remove this class. Let's save and check. Okay, but we need the border, right? So let's create one more class, td border 1px solid, and this class we will be attaching on this td. Let's save. Okay, so now the first part is done. So now for the first TD, we don't need this much space. So let's add a width. So that is style width. Let's say 4%. Let's save and check. No, wrong. Okay, for first TD. Let me just copy paste this, put it over here. Yeah, now it looks fine. So now the thing is, we have just 3 rooms. So if I click over here, right? So whatever the booking we are going to do, we are just going to display the bookings over here. So now let's create a booking form. So for booking form, we are going to use the model pop-up. So Bootstrap model pop-up, we will use Bootstrap 5 W3. Let's copy paste the model structure. Model. This is the simple model we are going to need. So let's copy. After this, let's paste that. Let's create one row. Call 12 button create. So now on create of this button, we need to open the model pop-up. So let's add the class btn sm btn secondary click event open booking. Let's create this function. Now, so we on this button click, we need to open the model pop-up, right? So for this model pop-up, we have the button ID, that is my model. So first we need to read that using document.getElement by ID. Constant model is equal to document dot get element by ID round bracket, and here we have to specify the ID. Again, the if statement, if model is not equal to null, so we will add the dynamic CSS like model dot style dot display is equal to block. So let's save and check if model is opening on that button click. On click of create, you can see model is opening, and we need to close also, right? On click of this. So let's create one more function to close this, just the opposite of that. Instead of block, it will be none. And let's change the function name, that will be close. Now we need to call this on the cross icon and on the close also. Now in model body, we have to design our forms. So let's see the API for the booking. Get all users. Make booking is the API. So here, no, this is not, this is movie booking API meeting. Create booking. So this is the API which will allow us to create the booking for the particular room. So here you can see we have to send room ID. So we need the room drop down. We already have integrated the API. User ID, we will be sending it from the local storage. Booking date, the current booking date, or we can send the calendar from time and 2 times. So we have the time array. So we are going to show that. Okay. So let's copy paste the object. Let's create the object. Booking obj inside that fields. Okay, so now let's make it empty. User ID we have to read from the local storage. So we have already got the data from the local storage. So let's just assign it back. Dot user ID is equal to this dot user detail dot user ID. Then we need to design the form. So let's create the form dot row dot call 6. So first first it will be what we can say, room drop down. So we have the array already, that is the room array, which we are going to use on the drop down. So here first label is there. Select room, then we need the drop down, so select. Inside that we are going to need option. On here we will be using for loop. Let room of rooms array, and we will print this value will go over here. With the property binding, we will be binding room ID. So room dot room ID. Then in option we will be printing room name. So room dot name. So this is the first element. Then we need to show the select room is there. So we will select the room. After that, we just need to show the booking date, like on which date you have to book this room. So again, call 6, label, select date, input date, form control class, and ng model we will bind. Booking object dot booking date. Same thing we are going to bind over here also. We just copy properly ng model. That's why it was giving error. This will be room ID. So room selection and the date selection part is done. After that, we need the drop down to select the time, like from time and to time. So here it will be from time, same the time array we have. So let's copy, let's paste it over here. This is time ID, and here we have to show time. Now same drop down will be over here also. Just ng model will be to time. To time. Select from, select to. Now we need the buttons to save and close. So in the model footer, we have the buttons. So let's add one more button, that will be success. Save. And here will be save booking. So we need to create the function which we will integrate with the API. Save booking. So let's see the API call. Let's click on try it out, execute. We just need the API call. So this will be my API call. So this .http .post round bracket double quotes API call slash the object we will be sending is booking object. So again .subscribe thing. Okay, so save booking part is done. If result is successful, if res.result is success, then we will be showing alert as booking done, or else we will show the error whatever we get from the API side. So alert result.message. So let's save and check if we can create the booking now. So on click of create, we get the drop down. I'm selecting Geneva. and I'm selecting for the 11th of the date from, let's say, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Okay, let's check the network. Let's click on save. Yeah, so we have got it successfully saved. So it is saved. You can see the object also. User ID we have read from the local storage. Room ID we have selected. To time ID it is selected. Now, so for this particular date and for this particular room is booked, right? So if we try to click on save again with the same data, we will get the error. Let's see what is the error, why it is undefined. Room already booked. So message is there because this particular room for particular date and for particular this time range, it is already booked, right? Now, if I change the room Atlanta, and if I try to click on save, it will be saved. Got it? So this is how room booking is done. Now, next task is we have this booking calendar, right? So we have to show like this room is booked for which particular time, right? Something red color will be added in that particular box. So for that, we need to integrate one more API, that is get all bookings by client ID. So client ID, let's see the client ID, application, local storage. 167 is my client ID. So let's try to pass it out. 167, execute. Yeah. So see, two bookings we have created, one for the Geneva room and one for the Atlanta room. So that are visible over there. So we need to call this get all booking. So this is just a complicated thing. In whole application, this is the actual logic where we can see the calendar and everything. So here this dot http dot get method round bracket API call. Then we will need an array, that is booking array colon any square bracket is equal to empty. We are going to store the bookings into this variable. So again, dot subscribe thing. Let me just copy paste. Booking array is equal to result of data. Now, so in this booking array, we have the booking for this particular client, right? For all the rooms created by all the users. So now what we have to do, we need to check like if particular room is booked or not. So for that, let's create a function. So here we will check if room booked. And for this function, we are going to need two parameters, that is room ID and column number, comma, and time ID. Again, column number. Now, in booking array, you can see we have got the time ID, from time and to time, right? And here also we have got room ID and from time and to time. So let's see if we can block this particular thing. So now we need to write the logic like const is booking data is equal to so here we need to find m equal to m dot first we need to find with the room ID m dot room ID equal to room ID, right? After that and then we have to find either this time from time or to time. So for that m dot from, let's see the API call. From time is equal to time ID or to time m dot to time equal to time ID. Right. So if the room ID we have got and either of the time is matches, then we have to return true and false. So if booking data we have found, then we will return true, else we will return false. Okay, so this function is like, if we pass this function room ID and the time ID, so it will check like in booking array, we have a data matching with particular room ID and particular time. So now this we can call in HTML directly on this particular TD with ng class, because we need to add some class to show like this particular room for this particular date is booked. So we can call the function directly. Now two parameters. First is room dot room ID we need to pass, and second is this tr, that is time dot time ID. And if we get the true, then we will add bg hyphen success color, else it will be empty. So let's check it now. Okay, so currently we don't have any room. Let's try to debug. So in booking array, okay, nothing is there. So let's first create the rooms. So this is Geneva. Then I'm going to book for the today. Let's say from 1 to 1:30, and let's click on save. So booking done. Now if I close, let me just disable it and reload the page. Let me enable. Something is not right. Let's check why. So in booking array, why it is coming 0? Okay, we haven't made that API call, that is get all booking. So we need to make it over here so that we can get the booking array. We forgot this. Let's go back. Let me just disable the debugger. Let's enable and debug the code now. So in booking array, we have got 3 bookings, right? So room ID. Okay, room ID is coming undefined and time ID is coming time ID is coming, but room ID is coming undefined. So let's check. Okay, I is small, but it should be capital. So let's check now. I think it will show now booked room. Yeah. So see, we had the 3 bookings, like Geneva room was booked from 1 a.m. to 1:30. Atlanta room was booked from 2 a.m. to 2:30, and this again Geneva room is booked from 3 a.m. to 3:30. So this is like a booking calendar. Again, we can show like this room is this here we can show like this particular room is booked by some particular what I can say user information, whatever we have to show, right? So this is how your booking calendar is going to look. Now after save, again we have to call just booking calendar, get all bookings. So let me, once booking is done, again we will call this. Now let's try to create room. Let's select Alaska. Date, we haven't added the date filter, but you can add again in this condition, we have to add the date also. So let's try to book it from 3:30 to 4 a.m. Let's save. Once we do, yeah, so you can see it is booked for this 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. Now for 3 a.m. to Geneva room is booked for 3 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. Let's try to book it again. So Geneva, let's try to book it from 3 to 3:30 a.m. So we will get error like it is because this room is already booked for this particular date and for this particular time slot. So we will get the error. So this is how our whole application is completed, the basic flow, right? So UI just for the time being I have created like this, right? But you can make it more useful and with more kind of a scenario or beautiful UI, just like the calendar, right? So just for the basic understanding, we have designed the same structure. The logic will be same. The logic what we have seen here in the HTML, this tr, the for loop we have to show this. With this table we have shown that booking, what we can say, roster thing, right? So hope you have find this video useful. Please do like and subscribe. I will be coming back with another real-time mini project idea, which will be again implementing like this from start to end. Please do subscribe till then.